Sigamos haciendo las cosas que sabemos nos mantienen más seguros contra el COVID-19 y sus variantes, como usar mascarilla en lugares públicos cerrados, hacernos la prueba antes y después de viajar y reunirnos con otros, y quedarnos en casa si nos sentimos enfermos. Sigamos fortaleciendo nuestra inmunidad. Encuentra un centro de vacunación cerca de ti en myturn.ca.gov o llama al 833-422-4255. Un mensaje del Departamento de Salud Pública de California.
Horse metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Horse metaphors presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, intellectually challenging, and every day is new. See why teachers have better work stories by going to teach.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by teach.org and the Ad Council.
What you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Make a big difference for the environment. Did you know that keeping your tires even a single PSI lower than recommended means worse mileage and more trips to the pump? So do the environment and your wallet a favor and always check the tire pressure. Brought to you by iHeart-Radio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips on smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iheartradio.com/earth.
Individuals, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-735-8360. That's 800-735-8360. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-735-8360.
Each course offers a unique set of challenges just moments from downtown Sacramento. Golfers, it's time to make your plans and enjoy the game of golf. With each of our courses offering an exceptional experience. And again, thank you for your business. We can't wait to see you again. Centerville and Empire Ranch in Folsom, all a part of the Wilson Golf Management family of courses.
With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Gift they'll love? Shop and save right now at Kohl's. Get 20% off Food Network bakeware, up to 50% off festive pillows and decor, and sterling silver diamond pendants for just $69.99. On top of all that, you can get an extra 15% off and earn Kohl's Cash. What are you waiting for? Get to Kohl's and celebrate the special moments for less. Select styles, 15% offer ends January 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
So let's stick to what's proven to keep us safer from COVID-19 and its variants, like masking up in public indoor settings, getting tested before and after traveling and gathering, and staying home if you feel sick. Let's keep our immunity strong. Visit myturn.ca.gov or call 833-422-4255 to find a vaccine or booster near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
At Schools First Federal Credit Union, everything we do starts with helping our members live better today and plan for tomorrow. Like a low-rate auto loan with payment-free summers, an affordable home loan with a low down payment, a credit card that helps you save with cash back on every purchase, stress-free retirement planning, and expert advisors you can talk to anytime. Because you're not just our members, you're our heroes. Visit schoolsfirstfcu.org.
Hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. And now, during our January sale, save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing, only for a limited time. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Unbelievable bandwidth. It's another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Meet Gagillionaire Terry. While his love of streaming horror movies has him constantly on the edge of his seat, his internet bill won't give him a scare. Oh, I'm going there. I'm telling you. Because since Terry upgraded to AT&T Fiber with hyper-gig speeds, he doesn't worry about data caps or equipment fees.
Come on, man. The door's open for a reason.
And best yet, he also doesn't stress about a price increase at 12 months, because with the amazing Gagillionaire lifestyle comes an exquisite sense of tranquility. Live like a Gagillionaire. Get straightforward pricing with AT&T Fiber, giving you the upgrades everything. No data caps, no equipment fees, and no price increase in 12 months.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton of Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports zoo in the universe. Of course, the people who love the universe. If that thing, and that includes me, all fair and level work. I really want to say today is a beautiful January the 27th. 2022 Ground on the Port is live to up. There's many beaches that say welcome to the show. What a great day. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You go buy a test drive your Delta truck, Big C Sports Centers, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports on 23 podcast applications. Really do appreciate that. Allspeak.ai. That's an artificial intelligence also taking over the world of podcasts. You can also follow Big C Sports on plenty other platforms. It's amazing how it just keeps growing and growing and growing on Google Podcasts, Alexa Podcasts, Spotify, Speaker Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart-Radio-Podcast, Castbox, Cod Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and then Podchaser. That's 11. So give me some praise for counting to 11. Come on, y'all. I said give me some praise. Try counting to 11. It's not as easy as it seems. You can also follow Big C Sports on Geosavon Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes Podcast, Podcast Wise, Podbay, and also Verbal Podcast. You got to give me some praise. I made it to 23. I got it without making a mistake. And that's a lot of pressure. I can't pretend it wasn't me if I screw up counting from 1 to 23. You can also follow Big C Sports streaming all around the universe on 4 TV applications, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. I love paying homage to my family legacy. That's how I got here. My great-grandmother called her a mama, just a wonderful great-grandmother, always keeping the family strong, food in our belly. Really do appreciate that. And my great-grandfather, Pop, he's a former Negro League baseball player and also very well versed in the church. And after church, he's known for making the best moonshine in the universe. World voice by saying, boys, get out of that barn. How many times I got to tell you? You don't want light to distract you. Get out of that barn. Really do. I appreciate that. And my grandmother, Madia, just a wonderful woman, a seer, very smart business person. Really do appreciate her keeping the family strong. My grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful gentleman, did everything to keep their family together. And then my beautiful mother started a Head Start program, a food program, and also helped us win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give Mama some praise. Come on, guys. Some praise, I said. A Head Start program, a food program, and winning the Little League Championship of the universe. Give Mama some praise. Always stand, rise, and shine. Really do appreciate that. On my father's side, the patriarch of the family, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a former pastor, had 2 churches in Oakland, California, built the 3rd one in Central California, and also had 2 service stations that he owned in Oakland, California. Very smart businessman, very wise. My grandmother, Alberta Curry, working along with my father with the service stations and also the churches in Oakland, California, and also Central California. Just very, very wise, doing everything to keep the family strong. My father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and chief mechanic, making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. My beautiful brother Todd, with his bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning whenever Todd would speak. Really do appreciate that. I love paying homage to my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the universe. A intelligent college graduate, 2 degrees, and 3.5 years with honors, would help me set up when coaches would come to the West Coast to get merchandising and set up with Big C Sports. Really appreciate that. My beautiful son, Malcolm, the most beautiful, handsome son in the universe. College student, very smart, industrious, hardworking kid, makes good choices. Watch the movie Simba. It's so much about so many great things I appreciate. Malcolm helps me set up with NBA stats, sends me stats, knows the NBA inside and out. Really appreciate everything that he's done for me with Big C Sports, and also Big C with all of his wealth and knowledge in the past. I want to say, give everybody some praise. Give it all praise, praise, praise. Big C Sports, I'm telling you, SC-nominated Big C Sports podcast. Let's get ready to rumble. My grandfather started that first. People thought it was a boxing opponent. That was my grandfather. He always did that after the church with the people sitting up in the barns. SC-nominated Big C Sports podcast. Try it sometime. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do this show with my higher self, and I always honor God. I was watching the sports show this morning, and they used 3 TV cameras, and the guy was talking, and he was talking to the wrong camera. And I thought, like, who in the world is he looking at? It's like he didn't know which camera to look at. And I'm not knocking him, but at the same time, I don't have a camera to look at, but I do know how to do the show and produce the show. And when game recognizes game, I'm talking to producers and sponsors. You all understand when game recognizes game. So give game some praise and don't be hate, if that makes sense to you. As I say, Big C Sports Podcast, I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast the shows, I do all of the sound effects that's provided by the agency. Everybody needs more laughter in their life. Really appreciate that. And then I do, with Big C Sports, the commercials are done out of New York City. And then I do the stats providing when it comes up to sports that I'll talk about in the show. The storytelling, I do the play-by-play, which is going to hear maybe tonight, Steph. Maybe you're here tonight, Steph Curry, 4-3. Steph Curry, give that some praise. All spare and love awards. And then I upload the show. It goes out to 23 podcast applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with Salem Media on September 12th, 2015. But prior to that, I started with Sports Talk USA. I was a West Coast correspondent covering NFL football and NBA basketball and Major League Baseball. They were actually out of Dallas, Texas. Met them when I went to Super Bowl 33, actually Super Bowl 34 down in Miami. And so I really appreciate that and got a lot of other things done with the NFL. But I think I'm one of the only sports shows, and I mean this when I say this, one of the only sports shows in the universe that always honors God. I grew up with the church, and one of the greatest verses that I've heard was, "For all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." That's Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. And the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2 said, "You have not because you ask not." If you want something to just ask, it's either yes or no. Just always ask. And that's why I say I love giving the Bible some praise. A lot of things in my life right now, I've just been asking about it, and things have been coming true. I'm also going to ask everybody, the Veterans Crisis Hotline, call it. Write down the number, Google it, text it, whatever it is. If you know veterans are going through issues, how many people, it's going to be a quiz, how many people would give up a limb, body parts, eyesight, etc., in order to save people? Not that many people would do that. But you know what? You know who does it? Veterans do it. Oftentimes, they've given the ultimate sacrifice. That's why I'm very honored to be able to give out every show with Big C Sports. I've always, since Big C brought this to my attention, there's a Veterans Crisis Hotline. They're there to help veterans and their loved ones get help. People are going through issues with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a lot of veterans deal with that. But there's a crisis hotline They can help people. And when you get help, it changes things. Pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can get our veterans some help and give that some praise. Come on, y'all. I said give that some praise. When you call 911, the first responders, they help a lot of people. That's why I love giving them praise and not just saying thank you. Give them a lot of praise for that. I love doing that for veterans and their loved ones. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3. When God said, let there be light, open your cell phones or electronic devices and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see our apps pop up all over the world. And I really do appreciate that because when I started in broadcast, I was working for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. They gave me an opportunity, but I was ready. I was always practicing doing my own show all by myself when I was 8 years old. And I used to take every record player apart, trying to see who was inside of that record player. But I'm telling you, I really do appreciate the things that are coming that I'm going to talk about in this show. I'm very excited about it with Big C Sports. And I just want to always say thank you to everybody who's ever been of help to me. I also love my affiliation with real estate with valleyhomesweekly.com, a national real estate show that features properties in Central California. If you want to know what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to thenationalrealestatepost.com. That's thenationalrealestatepost.com. And you will actually find people who talk faster than I do. And that makes me feel better. Take some of the pressure off. Also, if you want to know what's going on with mortgage rates all over the country, they're going to be creeping up a little bit, hopefully, or not hopefully, but maybe by the spring, coming out of the federal government. The mortgagedailynews.com. That's mortgagedailynews.com. mortgagedailynews.com. Also for you, unsecured funding, working as a funding affiliate partner, unsecured funding for people. They lend up, with 250 lenders, they lend up between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding. Funds can be used for any purpose, business startups, real estate investments, repairs and renovations, working capital, down payment assistance, so many things, debt consolidation, and paying off student loans. Hopefully the Biden administration write off every student loan retroactive of the year 2000. It would really be a sea change for a lot of people. Minimum credit requirement, 650 credit score, 27,000 annual income, adjusted income, no new lines of credit in the last 6 months, and then 2 years of consistent income. When the banks say no, give the Big C team a chance to help you get the money you need. Show me the money. What does Jerry Maguire say? Show me the money. Show me the money. We're going to talk about the money coming up soon. We all need it for everything in life. And I really do appreciate having that funding affiliate to help business owners and individuals. Also, I want to say, for those of you out there betting, my goodness, the sports books are cleaning house. They're cleaning so much house, Big Ben Rossenberger decided he was going to retire because he could show me the money in other ways. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a joke. But I talked about that too. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. You want to make sure you keep all of your limbs, if that makes sense to you. Also, this segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on this game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. It also goes great with the Big C coffee cup. It only comes in one size, extra large. Extra large. That's the only size. The best part of waking up is Big C in your cup, and it's extra large. If that makes sense to you, really do appreciate that coming this spring with the Big C coffee. Man, I'm telling you, there's so much going on. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, I'm going to talk about some things that I'm being pulled in. That's a good thing, by some opportunities by some sports agents that I know, and it's really excited me too. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. And the first former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we're back with the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe, including on 4 TV applications. What a beautiful January the 27th. I want to talk about something that is being pulled in. It's a good pull. It's not like being pulled into a bad thing. It's a good thing that I really have always been fascinated about. One of my favorite movies as I was young boy growing up was called it was Jerry Maguire. It was called, Jerry Maguire. And Tom Cruise and Lee Steinberg, Cuba Gooding Jr. And there's a lot of other actors in that movie. And there's something that I really want to talk about, because I've been reading a book called Who Moved My Cheese. I read it about 2 decades ago, and it's by Spencer Johnson, MD. And he wrote a sequel to the #1 bestseller and global phenomenon, Who Moved My Cheese. Everyone should read it. It's an amazing way to get unstuck. And this book is called Out of the Maze. And I really appreciate it. It's a great thing that has helped me in so many ways. It's like when you do the thing and you will have the power. The great Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, you do the thing, you will have the power. And even in the Bible, there's so much talk of speak things that be not as though they were. Or the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. And I love that. If I could just get my producer to wake up. The land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to show up. But I've always said, as of now, we know there's only one African-American head coach in the NFL, and his quarterback retired today. Ben Rossenberger retired. So Mike Tomlin's the only African-American head coach in the NFL. That makes up about 75% of the athletes, African-Americans. But there's Devon Davis wrote an article back in 2021. And based on that, and having some conversation with some sports agents that I've known over the years, and a new one that I met, it is very evident that the universe is listening. So I went and contacted the NFLPA today. There's a standard registration and agreement that's used for all the athletes. So I'm gonna talk about this story because I really want to reach out to young black kids, and young and old, doesn't matter how old you are. But sports agents, they get in on what's called the life of luxury and glamour, and show me the money. We hear about that. I interviewed Lee Steinberg. He's going to be in my book, and really do appreciate that. Lee Steinberg, his agency has donated over $1 billion to charities around the world. And so people think about that. You think about Scott Boras. Reportedly, Scott Boras made $160 million in 2021. And Rich Paul, I think he represents LeBron James and several other figures. I hear he made about $45 million in 2021. That's more than people make in a lifetime. The sports agency. And that's why I want to my goodness, there's so many reasons I realized my nickname, if that makes sense to you. Only so many people know that. But the sports agents, that life of luxury and glamour and fame in an industry where agents compete heavily against each other to sign the biggest superstar athletes in their respective sports and trying to get them the best contracts for their playing careers. Oftentimes, people say they want to be the next superstar athlete. And there's nothing wrong with that. They want to say, Steph Curry for 3, and they want the crowd to cheer. But when you think about sports agents, I just told you of guys that make $100+ million a year. Maybe the ones just trying to get, not everybody does. I'm sure some guys make $100,000 a year. But it's there. What did Michael Jordan say? The roof is the ceiling. People laughed at him. But he knew what he was talking about. If that makes any sense. You got to see things a different way. But trying to get the best contracts for their playing careers. And we remember, I should call him Sir Patrick Mahomes. Lee Steinberg got him the $500+ million contract. And he's the matrix of a quarterback. He's in the AFC Championship game this weekend against Cincinnati. But they're always trying to get the best contracts. I mean, I watched the movie Jerry Maguire many times. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind that we all talk about, show me the money! And people say, hey, you got a big contract. Yeah, but what's in our wallet? And so something that's been presented to Big C Sports, I realized covering the NBA draft live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York this year on Big C Sports, and have access to people who know some of everybody in sports. And then even in the Olympic Village in Tokyo, Japan, I've never been to Japan, but I met some people that work in sports that are wrestlers and part of the Olympic Committee, the National U.S. Olympic Committee. I also remember being able to be invited to the Summer Olympic contest in Northern California. Back in 2000, it was on the air by NBC Sports. And there was Tom Hammond was doing a lot of the announcing with Lewis Johnson, and there is Michael Johnson with the gold shoes. There's a lot of people in Northern California, and Carl Lewis was there. Just a lot of people that I met. Edwin Moses, some of the best people when it comes to track and field. Some of the best people in the history of the universe were there. And I was in the press box, and I'm realizing that was 2 decades ago. But what just happened today, really it happened on Monday, today's Thursday, but trying to get the best contracts for people. And there's a lot of opportunities, the best endorsement deals, philanthropic opportunities, and the best advice on how they can invest their money into businesses and startups and back into the communities. Now, many don't see with the glamour, there's always a sales pitch and a trust factor, and one that has not always fallen into the winning column of African-American sports agents. Oftentimes, there's collusion to keep people out of being a sports agent. Yeah, that's true. I'm raising the roof off of that. The ceiling is the roof. You'll understand that when you say it 10 times. Michael Jordan knew what he was talking about. People laughed at him. Now, there's times when people just want to clap for athletes. Touchdown, home run, 3-point play. But on the side of the industry that's dominated by black men, and there's collusion to keep men out of the sports agency, but things are changing. I had a paradigm shift, like the movie or the book Who Moved My Cheese and Out of the Maze. And 2021 has been a very an inauspicious year. And oftentimes you find yourself with just trusting God, because sometimes, for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into that. But last year in the sports agency world saw a groundbreaking shift within the sports agency world when more than half of the players selected in the first round of the NFL, they were represented by African-American sports agents. Give that some praise. Come on, give that some praise. Where the POTUS say African-American. Think about this. It's a $1 billion industry. This is the first time this has happened. 17 years, or let me just say it this way, 17 of the first round selections were represented by what the last POTUS called African Americans. Black men. The same men that make up the league. They're 3/4 of the league. Black men do that. The same ones who are ostracized in so many industries. But God says, for the land that thou seest, come on, gotta get my producer to wake up. For the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. I'm understanding it even more and more now. 5 out of the first 10 players drafted in the first round of the 2020 NFL draft were all represented by African Americans. African Americans, as the former POTUS once said. How easy it rolled off his tongue. African Americans. I've often said, based on the Curtin Commission, commissioned by Lyndon Baines Johnson over half a century ago, black men are 10 times to 1 more likely to be accused of a crime that they did not commit by mainstream America. And that's a fact. 7 times more likely than white kids to be expelled from school by white people. Oftentimes told, if you watch the movie Malcolm X or read the autobiography of Malcolm X, it was written by Spike Lee, acted by Denzel Washington. There was a segment in the classroom where Malcolm X told this instructor that he wanted to be a lawyer. And the lawyer said, no, the lawyer is not for you. You'll be a good carpenter. You know, Jesus was a carpenter. And that has gone on in so many areas of our lives. But I got to bring this up because it's important. It's making a sea change in my life. Doors are open. My pastor been praying on that. He said Big C Sports is going to get a quantum leap in this 2022. Think about that. 5 out of the first 10 players were drafted in the NFL were by black African-American agents or African-Americans and that's a new record. Some of those African-American agents who represent some of the first-round picks in the 2020 NFL Draft, David Mogoleta of Athletes First Agency, Nicole Lynn of Young Money APAA Sports and Lifestyle Agency, Demarius Bilbo of Clutch Sports Group Agency, and John Thornton of Rock Nation Sports. There's another gentleman that I've had the chance to talk with. It's going to actually be on my show later in the year. Another sports agent that I really appreciate, up-and-coming Everett Davis of Checkmate Sports. Very intelligent man. And he really opened my mind to what's going on the money side of the business. Black agents or African Americans, I like saying the word black, have had a history of unique struggles in the industry, more often criticized by both white players and black players because of an inadequate social ideology that view blacks as intellectually inferior or intellectually vapid compared to all the stereotypes that are out there by a racist society. All life began in Africa. Dr. Lindell and Gregor Leakey. Everybody knows that if you read. If you don't read, then you probably don't know that. But especially when it comes to job description and including playing in a sports arena or performing on a stage. I talk about it all the time. Steph Curry, 4-3, touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. All that jazz. People want to cheer for the athlete. But think about this. Last year, the NCAA tried to implement a rule that required all agents to have a bachelor's degree to serve as an agent. It was deemed by many as the Rich Paul rule and seemed as an attempt like the paperback test back in the day. People understand that. To impede the success of one of the most powerful agents in sports, who does not have a college diploma, but Paul represents the great LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, among many other NBA players. The agency also represents Chase Young and Jeff Okuda, and two of the other top 3 picks in the NFL draft. The NCAA amended its agent requirements shortly after the backlash, axing the degree requirement. However, a prospective rule served as another indication of how these power structures continue to disallow individuals from less prestigious backgrounds and oftentimes individuals of color an opportunity to even enter into that profession. Like in Malcolm X. Malcolm said, I want to be a lawyer. And the white man told him, no, you'll be better as a carpenter. Lawyer's not for you. You might want to stick in your own lane. Oftentimes, people of color, black men, they know what that means. Now, Rich Paul is seen as a threat to the status quo of the hierarchy of the power structure of the agent world and to the image of the industry that is still dominated by individuals who don't look like him. They're Caucasian men, awfully frat brothers. As long as they exercise fiscal and moral authority over black athletes, you can see how black agents are making huge positive impacts for the most popular and respected sports leagues in the world. In fact, the most popular sports leagues in the universe. Think about that. It's there. And you can see more and more the sea change that's happening, making huge impacts. And I think it's important. Now, from the NBA to the NFL and Major League Baseball, and laying out the groundwork for others to follow in the business, in the future, it would be great and inspiring to see African Americans, black men and women like myself, in this industry to continue to thrive and to dominate in this hard maneuvering industry. Everybody wants to have that talk that the late Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. What's your dream? That you can be anything you want to be. But we know the ceiling is the roof, as people laughed at Michael Jordan when he said that. A billionaire black man saying that. People, he didn't know what that means. The ceiling is the roof. Of course it is. But some people don't see what he was telling people. I didn't even see it at first, but I'm understanding it now. I heard the great late Zig Ziglar say you can train fleas by putting them in a jar, let them jump up and down, have the lid on the jar, take the lid off, and they won't jump higher than what the lid was, because they've been trained. A lot of people have been trained to believe that you can only hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. That's what a lot of people have been trained to do. I just feel it's so important. And so based on what I was told, and I contacted the NFLPA today, I'm already nationally credentialed with the NFL and NBA as well as Major League Baseball with Big C Sports. But as a sports agent said to me, he said, Charlton, you know so many people. You know so much about sports. How do you do a show on your own? You don't have 20 people behind the scenes? Well, I don't run all the distribution, but I do produce it and do it by myself. And I know I've been in this business. I grew up in it. My mother used to cook for NFL football players. They would come spend the night at my mother's house. At the same time, I've been a part of this business for a long, long time. But at the same time, I've oftentimes been met with that enmity like, well, we'll get back to you. I'll never forget one of my Jewish friends, when I started the business, he was saying, hey, Charlton, are you going to work the games next week for the 49ers? Or are you going to work the games next week for Cal Berkeley or for Stanford? And I said, I don't know. I put in my request and I'll find out. He said, let me know by Thursday if I can work this Saturday or Sunday's games. He's like, really? They already signed me for the whole year. The same person. It's a good old boy network. Some of these white guys still work in Bay Area media. I've known many of them. I mean, I've worked with many of the top talent in the Bay Area. In fact, all over the world. Guys that broadcast for the Lakers, the 49ers, the Oakland Raiders, Golden State Warriors, San Francisco Giants. I've worked and been at many of them side by side as a spotter. But never given that opportunity. I will thank Dave Cox, who got me on television, Bay TV in the Bay Area about 2 decades ago. He was a white, but he was fair. A lot of the other guys, they're full of blippity blip blip, and you know what I'm talking about, and they know who they are too. It's the same thing that this black sports agent told me about. So Big C Sports, the C chains that my pastor talked about, I'm pursuing accreditation to become a sports agent to represent some of the top talent. Think about that in the universe. Why not? I have one of the best sports podcasts in the world. I have access to some of the top athletes in the world. I've been doing this business many, many moons, and someone opened a door for me. He's a black man. He said, Charlton, there's so much money on this side of the business. It might be tough to get in, but when you're in, you're in. And he's going to help me get in because I'm prepared for it. Give that some praise. Give helping each other some praise. We all need somebody to lean on. And it's one thing when people try to make African Americans feel like, well, how are you going to do it? I was told the same thing when I started my podcast. How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? I've had some knuckleheads say, now, how do you do it? How much money are you making? None of their freaking business. But I'm telling you, it's a $1 billion industry. And I've talked and interviewed agents over the years and professional athletes. And to be told or asked, hey, you should look at this opportunity. You have a great platform. So it's going to happen by the summertime. I'm going through all my accreditations for it. And it's going to happen. And I'm going to give the athletes that sign with Big C Sports that everything is just coming into works. I'm so grateful to God. I'm telling you, sometimes you go through a lot of crap and a lot of things. And if you don't quit, then you come out on top of the other side. And oftentimes, when you come out of that side, a lot of people have jumped off the ship. I'm not talking about the middle passage either. So there's so much that I'm really grateful for, to be a part of this industry that's growing by leaps and bounds for men of color who see it. And I was told by a pastor that God is going to bless Big C Sports. And I'm thinking, why did he come and approach me in the church out of all of these people? And I am so grateful for it, because it's been a lot of junk that I personally had to deal with this year. And nobody cares because everybody has their own crap. But I'm so grateful to not chase people who don't see your value, because there are people who see your value. And there's just so much of the history of African Americans that are the rise of the black sports agents. And for the most part, when people watch the game, they want to see the stars. And that's for the most part, they want to see on TV, or sometimes they want to hear on the radio what we all get accustomed to. Touchdown, home run, three-point play, all that way. He's gone all the way. They want to hear that and see that. And I'm not there's nothing wrong with that. It's out there too. But I know there's another side of opportunity, but you got to go out and get it. And with Big C Sports, I'm doing my best to go out and get it. And sometimes it seems like you're swimming up that, I guess you can swim in that pool on your own. Like you're doing it on your own. And sometimes things turn against you. People turn against you. People do whatever they can to try to break you behind your back. But God lets you know it. God hears everything people say. So last year saw a seismic shift within the sports agency world, with more than half of the players selected in the first round of the NFL represented by black men. Black Enterprise spoke with a bright, shining star, Tori Dandy, about what makes a successful sports agent and how important it is to see more black men and women as sports agents in the future. It's important to see that because it's out there. There's a gentleman who manages and oversees over $4 billion worth of football playing contracts. $4 billion. You know, with a B, as we're doing jump shots and push-ups and trying to run wind sprints and get bigger, stronger, and faster. Think about it. It's so inspiring to hear this. And for someone who's already inside St. Charlton, you should look into it. You have the platform, man. You heard all over the world. How many people could you help and inspire? And you make a whole lot more money on this side of the business because you're not going to play football anymore. And I really appreciate that because it opened my eyes to some things. And so I can tell people, I mean, it's not about what people say. I'm saying it publicly because I want to hold myself accountable. As Big C Sports will become a accredited sports agency in 2022. And again, there's a gentleman that oversees $4 billion worth of football playing contracts. Agents can get me usually about 3% of that. So being promoted to co-head and manage partner of football for the #1 sports and entertainment agency in the world. Think about that. Everybody knows you got to get to the point where, like Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof, and people laughed at him. But if you can't see it, you can't be it. It gives hope to people who are African American, and seeing a lot of other African Americans making the NFL a $15 billion industry, the NBA a $10 billion industry, Major League Baseball $8 billion industry, all over the world. At the highest level, it shows young black men and women that you can do it whether you're from a big city or a small town. It's about being in part of the network, and some people won't let you in, like a fraternity. You don't have to get through hazing based on what I understand. So the education is vital. It's real life experiences. Most important. It's merit based. There's so many people that put in blood, sweat, and tears to become an athlete, and that lasts about maybe 5 years on average. You can be a sports agent well into your 60s, even 70s. When dealing with players and navigating the industry, whether you're working with owners or general managers or recruiting talent and their families, the best way to learn is to be in the field, getting that real life experience. I've been doing that since like 1996, even back in college, 1988, when I was the only black man on the campus on the TV station. The only one. I was a producer, I was a writer, I was an anchor and a reporter. And I'm understanding it now. But I banged my head up against so many invisible ceilings because I thought I could do what my white friends did. They were being sucked into the field of broadcast like a vacuum cleaner sucks in dirt. And oftentimes I remember being told, well, right now we're gonna, we're not looking for anything right now, but we'll keep your resume on file and we'll get back to you. But earlier this year, for the first time, the National Football League in history, more than half of the players selected in the first round of the draft were represented by African-American agents or black agents. It's important to see that. Like, as I say, Genesis chapter 13, verse 15, for all the land that thou seest, For all, not some, but for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about sports in the sports universe. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. So talking about the agency world that I'm being offered a test drive in with Big C Sports, I'm really honored. But the NFL draft, the NFLPA Bowl Day is a 3 recap national team. That's a 10th annual NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. It's going to be played Saturday in Southern California. I believe it's at the Rose Bowl, and January 29th as an NFL network at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so it's about players that are going to get on to the next level, and they're being represented by agents. And there was an African-American agent that told me about it. And I want to do the same thing on my podcast that people do to me in private. Oftentimes, I'm privy to information. I don't want to just hold it to myself. I want to share that with other people who are listening, because I remember how being honest with you, it's real talk, how frustrating it was to see guys that can't do what I do. I broadcast games on my own, and I've sent out tapes, and I won a Bay Area Broadcast Excellence Award against all the top Bay Area talent. And even with that, there were people that said, well, you do a good job. Your diction's great. You emphasize well, but right now we don't have any openings. And then some of my white so-called friends who didn't even know as much as I knew would sit in the press box of NFL games and ask me, what does it mean? Why do you have when a quarterback is sacked, why does it come away from rush yardage? And they already have contracts with the NFL, and they're doing broadcasts, and people are just giving them that opportunity to work in that industry. And I realized that from that day, I'm thinking, and I still see some of those people on TV today. And it bothered me at the time because I knew I could do the work, and oftentimes I was used for my knowledge and not being given the same opportunity to stand on the sideline as a field reporter as some of my counterparts were. And yes, that was bothersome. But at the same time, it didn't stop me from continuing to grow and to learn and to keep swimming in that pool, that swimming pool called the faith. It takes faith to move a mountain, so give faith some praise. Give faith some praise, and things are coming now that should have already come in life, but it's okay. It's better late than never. But I do appreciate everyone that gives me that opportunity. I want to just talk about a little bit Big Ben Rossenberger. He retired today from the NFL after 18 seasons, and he's only played quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just look at the irony. He's been around 18 years. He was a player for Coach Cowher, Bill Cowher, who's now on television, and now Mike Tomlin, who's coaching the Steelers now, as the only black coach currently employed in the NFL. A lot of people anticipated it happening. He retiring at the age of 39 years old, the number 11 overall pick in 2004 NFL draft out of Miami University in Ohio, won 2 Super Bowls in Pittsburgh, and a 6-time Pro Bowler known as Big Ben, played in 249 regular season games, 23 postseason games, and 3 Super Bowls. He retires while sitting at number 5 on the all-time passing list with 64,088 yards, 1 spot behind Brett Favre and Phillip Rivers. The 2004 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, he made his mark for the Pittsburgh Steelers, led the Steelers to the most wins ever recorded by a rookie with 15. Later became the 4th quarterback in NFL history to win 100 games in the first 150 starts of his career. He's been a dynamic quarterback for the Steelers. Later became the 4th quarterback in NFL history to win 100 games in his first 150 starts. It's amazing. Holds the NFL record for most career 500-yard passing games. Has 4 of those. And to see how he battled through a lot of adversity, he's been accused of things too that aren't so not very proud of. And, you know, whatever happened with that, I wasn't there. I don't know. But was able to keep his head up and get back in the game and then try to play. So I don't know the whole thing behind some of the junk he was accused of, but I do know anyone can be accused of anything. So I don't want to talk about what I don't know a lot about, but people can Google that. But to be able to play that many years and to keep his head up and go through injury and help a winning team that's only had 3 coaches in their history, and Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers under the Rooney family. So he's done a lot to keep his football head high and working and just doing whatever he could to overcome. And so congratulations to Big Ben Roethlisberger. Obviously, he will be, as I want to say this too, there are many people say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think he is, because he earned it. And I want to just say, give congratulations to a great career, and may you have everything you're looking for, if that makes sense to you. I know it's been tough to walk away when people are saying you don't have anything left in you, but he fought through it. I want to talk about something else with another athlete. And, you know, life is funny, because we talk about people who are going to retire as Hall of Famers. And I still want to talk about some things that happened with Barry Bonds being snubbed. Barry Bonds by the baseball, think about this, Barry Bonds was snubbed by the Major League Baseball Writers Universe. Barry Bonds is arguably the greatest baseball player ever. And people might say ever. Well, that's why I said arguably. People can argue about that. But without a doubt, unequivocally, he's hit more home runs than anyone in the Major League Baseball universe. I mean, known for the pitch, swung on, hit deep, left field, that's home run. That's my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. All Strand Level War, and he hit it deep 762 times. Retired at 43, not because he wanted to, but people wouldn't give him a job. But there's some other things that make it more egregious for him not to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown that people probably know that maybe they don't know. But he fell short of the required 75% for the 10th time to get in. His single season 73 home runs in 1 year, a career 762 home run record that may never be broken, and his exclusive membership in the 500 home run club and 500 stolen bases club. There's a lot more to what Barry Bonds has done. His father played Major League Baseball too. So maybe being, his father was Bobby Bonds, he saw how media can behave. Number 5, think about this. Barry Bonds salvaged a 400 on-base percentage and 2 strike counts since that data became available in 1988. Wade Boggs, Joey Votto are the only other players who have ever done as much as twice. 33 times. Double plays Bonds grounded into from 1999 to 2004, just 33 times. That's the same number as Juan Pierre, who hit 285 fewer home runs than Bonds during that span. The number 88, home runs. Barry Bonds might have hit 88 home runs in 2001 if he played at Coors Field, where the Rockies play, because the ball flies farther. If you think about that, that's amazing. And think about another thing. 102 times. Games in which Barry Bonds homered and stole a base. That's the most in baseball history by 15. Over the noted leadoff Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, the great Rickey Henderson. Also out of the Bay Area. 160 home runs that Bond hit at Oracle Ballpark, AT&T Pack Ballpark, even though he retired after 2007. That's still the most in the history of the Giants ballpark by 93 over Brandon Belt. Think about the numbers 36 for 36. Home runs and stolen bases. Bonds average per year from 1990 to 1988. 36 home runs and 36 stolen bases. On the whole, during that stretch, he ranked third with 327 home runs and sixth with 328 stolen bases. Atop the home run leaderboard was Mark McGwire, yet he merely tied 464th with 9 steals. Otis Nixon led the steals, but did not even crack the top 600 by hitting just 8 home runs. Think about that. 36 Bonds baseline nearly for a decade. The man was amazing. Say 40-40, but nonetheless, one that only 14 players have crossed in a single season. In addition to Alfonso Soriano, Bonds and his father Bobby are the only other players to do so twice. They also co-lead with 5 30 and 30 seasons apiece. The younger Barry Bonds missed out on his 6 because of the 1994-95 strike. It stopped him at 29 steals in 1994. Think about how great he was. He was just an amazing player. And nobody has had the total numbers that Bonds had. I mean, he's just amazing. The numbers alone, irrespective of what people want to accuse him of, he was never found guilty of it. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts about who they like and who they don't like. But it's a shame when a player is out because of vitriol. And people can call in and give their thoughts to the Baseball Hall of Fame and talk about what they want to do. I just think it's been amazing what Barry Bonds did. The home run king itself. But Bonds has been an amazing baseball player, and to be kept out by people who write about the game because of jealousy and innuendo, but he wasn't found guilty by any court in the law or in the land. It's just amazing. And people can say whatever they want to say. And no one can argue how great he was. I mean, he had all the great pitchers going up afraid of him. From Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux. They were afraid of him. Roger Clemens. But I'm not stomping for Barry Bonds. I'm stomping for greatness. He had 38 more intentional walks as one player than the entire Tampa Bay franchise. It's amazing. Like home runs and stolen bases, walks were a huge part of Bonds' craft. He drew 1,870 just in the non-intentional variety, which would still be fourth all time, even if he didn't have a single intentional walk to his name. It's amazing. 688 free passes and more than the next 2 players on the leaderboard combined. So people can argue, well, keep him out for whatever reason. It's just amazing how well he's played as a player that often saw the best pitchers, and the best pitchers tried to avoid him. So how you can say he's not Hall of Fame worthy, but other people are, it doesn't make any sense that he's been the best at the pitch. Swung on, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run! Say hello to my little friends. All fair and love and war. Just really appreciate that I was able to see a lot of Barry Bonds playing back in the day when I used to keep stats at Candlestick Park. But he's better than all the other people, Hall of Famers. Ozzie Smith, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Derek Jeter, better than all those guys. But people still found a way to keep him out based on their own personal enmity for greatness. But I'm just saying, you can't always like people, but you can't acknowledge what they do. So Barry Bonds, the best baseball player in the history of the universe, according to Big League Sports, and that's my thought, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to close out today. It's a very small NBA schedule, and obviously they have the announcement for players that are going to be in the All-Star game for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and so not a lot to talk about with NBA basketball today, but there'll be more Friday and then over the weekend. But I wanted to just make sure that I get in. It's a small schedule, and obviously people are getting ready for the NFL football season coming up. But the LA Lakers in Philadelphia tonight, that game's already underway on TNT. And then Minnesota will take on the Golden State Warriors here in San Francisco at beautiful Chase Center. all's fair in love and war. But I really just want to say, for all of the agents that are getting into the business, that Big C Sports also, Charlton Curry of Big C Sports, been offered the opportunity to become a sports agent in the world of sports. Isn't that something? Just got to go through my accreditation. I already reached out to the NFLPA today. I became national credentialed with the media for the NFL and the NBA Major League Baseball. Why not have a chance at a billion-dollar industry on the side of representation? Since I've covered the sport for so many moons anyway, and I'm going to look into it, and I believe it's going to happen because I'm going to put my heart, mind, body, and sweat into it in my prayers. Remember, Genesis chapter 13, verse 15, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. It's a billion-dollar industry, and I'm being invited to talk about that and to become a part of it. I look forward to it. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you flow like a butterfly, you seem like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? All of this, see, I'm so pretty. I eat so many Big C burgers, I can't possibly be beat. And all the Big C coffee only comes in extra large. Makes me float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. That's why I'm always rumbling, just can't rumbling. Because of all that Big C cup coffee. It's all fair level war. Having fun with it. My beautiful mother always says, there's no excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should go to that garbage on their own. As we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, Big C Sports, show me the money! We thank you. We appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. Show me the money! I would be a great sports agent. The very best. And I thank God, and I thank everybody who's opening that door for Big C Sports. Have a super fantastic day.